On a map, this trip looked pretty straightforward. We had good terrain, we had reasonable distances, and a good weather window. What the map didn't show us was the pace that we would be on, or how the group dynamic would change things over a few days, or how much energy the terrain that we were riding would actually take. So in this video, I want to walk you through this ride, what it was really like, not just the good, but the bad too. I want to talk about the decisions we made, the fatigue we faced, and the moments where experience mattered way more than horsepower. All right, so this trip was taking place in the mountains of North Georgia. This was actually a Chattahoochee BDRX, and it's a 3-day adventure loop that starts in LJ, Georgia and ends back in the same location. Now, we decided to run it in reverse, so we went from LJ to Dillard to start, but you can run it from LJ to such as the Dillard to LJ, it's whichever way you want to run it. We just chose to do it in reverse. On this trip, we took 6 riders. So we had 6 riders that set out from LJ, and we rode, I think all 6 of us rode the first 2 days, and we lost 1 guy on the last day because we had a big storm rolling in. The route includes 370 miles of on and off-road mixed riding. And honestly, I had never done a multi-day camping trip with more than 1 person, so I didn't have a ton of expectations, only to know that there would be something happen that was unexpected. That's kind of what I went into it. I knew we would have good campfires, good stories. The riding would be good. All the BDR rides are pretty good. They have good experience. So I knew that there would be some good riding and some good memories made, but I knew there would be also something unexpected happen, because there always is. You know, you should go into any adventure trip just expecting the unexpected. Like there's something's gonna happen that you didn't plan for. And this ride was no different. So we took off from LJ and headed towards Dillard. And early on we had some reality checks, right? So the first was the trail conditions. The trail conditions were nearly perfect for this ride. We experienced some rain on the last day, but prior to that, like leading up to this ride, it had been dry for a couple weeks. And so the water crossings were a little bit lower than anticipated, and the mud holes were not as intimidating as what we were warned about. So, you know, as far as trail conditions go, we could not have asked for better trail conditions on this ride. We had some reality checks in our pace adjustments, like riding with the group and filming will change your normal pace quite a bit. Actually, at times, what I found was I had to push myself harder to keep up with the group. And at other times, I found myself kind of pulling back my speed to kind of keep the group together. But listen, filming on any trip, it brings a whole new dynamic to pace, right? Because you have to look for a place to set up a camera, and then you have to get off your bike and set the camera, and then you have to, you know, check all your lighting and do all those things. And there's just a start and stop pace that happens a lot when you're doing filming like I do. So the pace is something that if you're riding in a group, you got to make sure the group's okay with that. And fortunately, I have a great group of guys that I ride with that they love these videos that I make, and they love to watch them and share them with their friends and stuff. And it's like almost like documenting the memories we make. So they're really, really lax with stopping and letting me set up cameras and stuff. So big shout out to my Southern Illinois, Tennessee boys. Thank you for everything, for the riding and for being patient with your boy here. Some of the other things that we encountered were some early surprises. Like the first day, what we were looking forward to was the Tallulah River crossing. So that's, I don't remember, like 30 miles or so away from Dillard on the trail. And we kind of been building up to it all day. We were really excited. It's one of the more famous water crossings for adventure riders, because it's a huge, very long water crossing that has like a very specific line you want to hit to get through it. And so we set up our cameras and filmed it, and it did not disappoint. Let me say that. Like out of the 6 of us, I think 2 guys had some issues. Like Ben dumped his Pan America in the middle of the, Ben dumped Heather's Pan America. I'm gonna correct that for Heather, she'll correct me. Ben dumped Heather's Pan America in the Tallulah River. And that was cool, I got that on film. And then my buddy Gunny, he got into a staring match with a super eager angler who was trout fishing. And so that was a big surprise. It made for some great footage that we captured and some really good memories. Camp the first night, I didn't get any footage of the first camp because we had a really long day, and it was dark when we got in, so it's really hard to film at night anything quality. So I didn't really get any footage, but we camped in an actual campground the first night and got a good night's sleep. And then we set out on day 2, and there was another decision moment that took place on day 2. We quickly discovered that wildfires had closed, I don't know, about 40 miles or so of the BDRX, and our group had to make some decisions to reroute and avoid the closed trails. Now, we were disappointed at first we didn't get a chance to experience some of those routes, but we made memories doing some other things. We saw some sights. We spent a little extra time on Popcorn Road, which was really cool. That's the expert section of the BDRX, and it's included in day 2. After we hit Popcorn Trail, we were going to make our way back to Suches, and I got separated from the group after we stopped at a little side store. There was a little convenience store that sold boiled nuts and stuff like that, and we stopped for a drink and to hang out a little bit after popcorn. And I got separated because I was wanting to film something, so they went on. And I actually spent the better part of the day just trying to catch them. I felt like I was flying, trying to catch up with the group. What we discovered was getting into camp on day 2, I was much more tired because the pace that I had kept and the hard riding on the expert section. So this is where that planning to have a good camp setup really paid off for me. We also were not allowed to have a campfire night too because of the wildfires in the region. So it was literally set up in the dark, sit in the dark and talk for 15, 20 minutes, and then we went to bed. And honestly, it was a much needed night of rest. We were all pretty worn out. We had ridden pretty hard the day before. But for day 3, for me, it was really the mental strain was more of a struggle than anything. Because what we had was, as those storms moved in, we had really heavy fog that was increasing, and we were going up into the mountains on Old Bucktown Road as we went down into LJ. So we were getting into some higher elevation, some more difficult, I thought Old Bucktown Road, going down it was just as difficult as Popcorn Road in places. There's some really big embedded rocks and washouts. The mental strain is what I noticed on day 3. I got a good night's rest and I was ready to tackle the day, but because of the storms, the fog, it made it feel more dangerous, and then also just the storm that was approaching. So we felt pressure to go quickly, to pick up our pace, and that also adds mental strain, when you're thinking about, hey, I got to keep up the pace, and you're kind of grinding as you're riding. Once we got through the difficult riding, through the fog, and we were in the rain, right? When the rain came and we got into it, and we got comfortable being wet, and that's what it was. I was reminded that some of my favorite times on a bike are those quiet moments, like the quiet time you spend in your helmet, just thinking about life and thinking about the trip that you're on and the things you've done and where you're going next. And for me, it's almost therapeutic. It's something that I look forward to now on every multi-day trip, is just spending that alone time in my helmet, thinking and contemplating on what I'm doing and where I've been and where I'm going. All right, so as we rolled into LJ at the end, we were soaking wet, and it's because we missed that weather window. The storm rolled in sooner than what we thought, and we got completely drenched. But it didn't stop us from having a great time. We tackled all the trails that we wanted to. We got some excellent footage of the trip. We made some lasting memories, and we even got to celebrate our buddy Chad's birthday at the local Mexican restaurant in LJ. It was just a great time. So, quick reflection. One thing that really worked for us, it worked for me on this trip, was planning for margin. So I've shared with you guys about how I plan my adventure trips, and that's like the cardinal rule for me. Anytime I plan a trip, I plan for margin. And this trip, that turned out to be a huge win because of the storms, the pace, and also the wildfires that we didn't know we were going to encounter. One thing that I would change next time is my camp setup. Actually, my camp setup has already changed as a result of this trip. So the long and short of it is I just overpacked. Like, I took way too many items. There were several things I never even pulled off of the bike. I had too many clothes. And so the advice that I had given on the moto camping video was lessons that I learned from this trip. You know, not to overpack, but make sure you take the items that can help you recover when you hit some harder trails and you physically just get worn out. So one warning or takeaway that I would give you is make sure that you're setting goals every day. That was clutch on this trip. I felt like every day me and my buddies took off, we accomplished something that we wanted to do that day together, like as a team. We had a clear objective and we all worked together to make that one thing happen. And for that reason, I felt like this trip was a big success. Like, we had a great time and we still talk about it together. Lessons were learned, right? Memories were made. And at the end of the day, we keep coming back for more adventure.